They say Alaska holds more secrets than the snow can bury. Somewhere beyond the icy ridges and endless roads, there's a stretch of highway that should not exist. Truckers whisper about it in late-night diners, their voices dropping low, as if even speaking its name might summon it. A road that appears normal, until the clock strikes midnight. Then it bends, loops, disappears into fog, and those who drive too far never make it home. This isn't just a story, it's a warning, because one man, Ethan Cole, a trucker with 20 years behind the wheel, drove into that road. And though his truck made it back, the question remains, did he? Tonight, you will follow his journey, and maybe, by the end, you'll understand why no map dares to mark that cursed stretch of asphalt. Welcome, two-story villa, where every story drags you deeper into the dark. Ethan Cole had seen it all, 20 years on the road from California freeways to the frozen veins of Alaska. He had hauled steel, timber, food supplies, even once, a cage with 2 black bears. And if there was one thing Ethan believed in, it was this: roads don't lie. A road might be long, might be rough, but in the end, it would always take you somewhere. But that belief was about to break. It was mid-January. Midnight deliveries weren't new to him, but this one felt different from the start. The dispatcher sounded almost hesitant when he gave Ethan the route, a late-night run through the northern pass. Isolated, icy, and rarely used except by truckers desperate for shortcuts. "Storm warnings tonight," the dispatcher muttered. "You sure you want to run it?" Ethan just chuckled, tucking a toothpick between his teeth. "Storms don't scare me. Roads don't bite." He should have known better. By 11:45 p.m., the snow had grown heavy. The wipers thrashed back and forth, fighting to clear his view. The headlights cut into the whiteness like weak torches, but the blacktop still stretched ahead. Ethan hummed to the radio, sipping bitter coffee from a stained thermos, and then it happened. At exactly midnight, he noticed the mile marker, 143. Half a mile later, another marker, 143 again. He frowned. Maybe he'd missed one. But then, a crooked pine tree leaned over the road. He nodded at it, half smiling. 10 minutes later, there it was again. The same bent pine, snow clinging to its skeletal branches. Ethan's smile faded. The CB radio hissed, static crawling into the cab. He reached out, tapping the knob. The music cut, replaced by a whisper, faint, broken, but real. "Turn back." Ethan froze. He glanced at the radio, then at the empty highway ahead. The voice fizzled out, leaving only the hum of the engine and his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. "Great," he muttered. "Radio's fried. Must be the storm." But the storm wasn't the problem, because when he looked in the rearview mirror, he saw headlights behind him, twin beams, steady and bright. Another trucker, maybe. Relief spread in his chest. He wasn't alone out here. He tapped the brakes, easing his speed. But as soon as he blinked, the headlights were gone. Ethan rubbed his eyes. Tired, that's all. Just tired. Yet the road ahead seemed longer than it should, endless, repeating. He could swear he had passed that same snow-buried signpost 3 times. His GPS frozen. The map stuck on a blank green screen. The road didn't lie. That's what Ethan believed. But tonight, the road was lying, and somewhere, deep in the fog, something was waiting for him to figure it out. The storm grew heavier, snowflakes whipping sideways like white knives. Ethan leaned forward in his seat, squinting at the endless blacktop. His knuckles tightened on the steering wheel. The road felt wrong, like it was stretching itself, pulling him deeper into a place he wasn't meant to be. Then, out of nowhere, he saw it. A light. Faint, flickering, far off in the woods. Ethan slowed, heart thudding. He thought, maybe it was another driver's emergency flare, maybe even a ranger's cabin. In a land this empty, any light was a lifeline. He pulled the truck onto the shoulder, tires crunching ice, and stepped out into the freezing air. The cold cut him instantly, searing his lungs. He grabbed his flashlight and trudged toward the glow. Boots sinking in deep snow. Branches clawed at his jacket as he pushed through the tree line. The light grew brighter, steadier. His breath fogged in the air. Then he saw it. A cabin. It leaned slightly, as though the snow had been trying to crush it for decades. The windows were frosted, the wood panels gray and cracked, but the faint orange glow of a lantern burned inside. Ethan swallowed. Well, somebody's home. He stepped onto the porch, which creaked under his weight. He knocked once. No answer. Twice. Still nothing. Finally, he pushed the door open. The smell hit first. Musty stale, like wood rot and old sweat. Inside, the cabin was small. A table, 2 chairs, a rusty lantern flickering weakly. Dust coated everything, thick as ash. A blanket lay crumpled in the corner, stiff with age, and on the table sat a journal. Ethan's boots echoed against the wood as he approached. The leather cover was cracked, almost brittle. His gloves brushed off a layer of dust, and he opened it. The first entry stopped him cold. We drove this road, but never reached the end. Ethan frowned, flipping through the pages. The handwriting varied, some neat, some scrawled in panic. Multiple people had written here, over years. One page read, "The fog comes at midnight. Don't stop driving. Don't look at them. Another headlights behind me. No one there. God help me." His pulse quickened. This wasn't a journal. It was a log of the damned. The lantern flickered, dimming. Ethan froze. From outside came a sound, thud. He snapped his head toward the door. Silence, then, again, thud. Harder this time. Something was moving around the cabin. Ethan's flashlight beam shook as he swept it across the walls. His breath fogged fast, panic clawing at him. Slowly, he crept to the frosted window and peeked out. The world outside was swallowed in fog, thick, rolling, pressing against the glass like a living thing. And in that fog, a shaped dot, tall, thin. Wrong dot. It slid past the window, its limbs bending too far, like a marionette cut loose. Ethan staggered back, heart in his throat. The journal slipped from his hands, pages flapping open on the floor. One line caught his eye as the lantern guttered almost out. "If you hear them at the walls, run." The cabin shook with a deafening bang. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ethan bolted for the door, journal clutched in his hand. The fog wrapped around him like wet cloth as he stumbled back toward his truck. He didn't look behind him. Couldn't. His boots pounded snow, every step echoing with the sound of something following just beyond sight. By the time he slammed the truck door shut, his hands were trembling. He jammed the keys into the ignition, whispering to himself, "Roads don't lie. Roads don't lie. Roads don't." But the road had already lied, and now, it wasn't just the fog he had to escape. Ethan's hands trembled on the wheel as the engine roared back to life. He pressed the accelerator, desperate to leave the cabin and whatever moved in that fog far behind. The headlights cut through the mist, but the world outside looked the same, no matter how far he drove. Snow swirling, trees leaning, that crooked mile marker, passing again, and again. His stomach twisted. He wasn't moving forward. He was circling. "Hell no," he muttered. He gripped the wheel tighter, pressing harder on the gas. The truck's engine strained, but the road stretched endlessly, mocking him. Then he noticed something ahead. Shapes in the fog. He squinted, leaning forward. Not trees, not rocks, trucks. Dozens of them, lining both sides of the highway. Their trailers were coated in ice, doors hanging open, wheels half buried in snow. Some had been there years, rust eating through the metal. Others looked newer, fresh tire tracks still visible beneath them. Ethan slowed. eyes darting from one abandoned rig to another. He rolled past the cab whose headlights flickered weakly, even though its engine was long dead. And then voices. The CB radio crackled alive, hissing static before dozens of voices spilled out at once. Don't stop. Keep driving. Turn back. It's already too late. Ethan's jaw locked. He grabbed the CB mic, shouting, "Who's out there?" "This is Cole. Ethan Cole, on highway." The voices cut him off, overlapping in a terrifying chorus. "We're still here. We're still driving. We never left." The sound grew louder, filling the cab. Ethan threw the mic down, his chest heaving. That's when the first handprint appeared. On the inside of the windshield, a pale, skeletal palm pressed against the glass from nowhere, smearing frost as though someone was trying to claw their way in. Then another handprint appeared beside it, and another. Soon, dozens of ghostly hands slapped against the windshield and side windows, leaving trails of icy mist. Ethan shouted, jerking the wheel. The road ahead burst with light. Headlights. A convoy of trucks materialized out of the fog, barreling toward him. But no drivers sat in the cabs. Steering wheels spun on their own, trailers rattling and swaying as if pulled by invisible hands. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. He yanked the wheel hard, barely dodging a rig that screamed past inches from his fender. Another swerved beside him, its horn blaring a sound that didn't feel mechanical, but alive, like a dying animal's cry. He pressed the gas to the floor, desperate to escape. The convoy surrounded him. Ghost trucks roared on all sides, their headlights blinding, their engines rumbling like thunder, and through the chaos, the journal on the passenger seat slid open, its pages flipping as though caught by a phantom breeze. His eyes caught one line, circled over and over in black ink. "If you see them, it's already too late." Ethan's breath hitched. The ghost convoy boxed him in, hemming him on all sides. The fog thickened, smothering everything. For a moment, he wasn't sure if his truck was still moving, or if the road itself had trapped him in a loop of steel and headlights. The CB crackled again, one voice rising above the rest, hoarse, ragged. "You'll never reach the end." The convoy's horns blared in unison, rattling his bones. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, gripping the wheels so hard his knuckles burned, and when he opened them again, the road was empty. No trucks, no voices, only fog and something waiting inside it. Ethan sat frozen, his breath fogging the glass. The road was empty again, but the silence wasn't relief. It was worse. He felt watched. Every nerve in his body screamed to move, to drive, to run. He shifted into gear and pressed the accelerator. The truck groaned forward, wheels crunching over the snow. But no matter how fast he drove, the fog clung to him, a suffocating wall of white. Minutes dragged into what felt like hours. His hands ached from gripping the wheel. The world outside refused to change, mile markers blurred. Trees bent unnaturally, their shadows stretching across the road like fingers. Then came the sound, a low hum. At first, so faint he thought it was the engine, but it grew. A vibration that rattled the mirrors, pulsed through the dashboard, and settled deep in his chest. It wasn't coming from the truck, it was coming from the fog. Ethan slowed, sweat dripping down his temple, despite the freezing cold. The hum deepened, twisting into a guttural growl that echoed all around him. He rolled down the window, against every instinct, and the sound hit him like a physical force, a voice, but not human. Cole. His blood froze. Whoever whatever was out there knew his name. "Who are you?" Ethan shouted into the fog, his voice shaking. "What do you want from me?" The fog shifted. Shapes began to move within it, not fully formed, not solid. Shadows of towering figures, their arms too long, their heads bent unnaturally low. They swayed as if walking, but their feet never touched the ground. Ethan slammed the window shut, heart racing. The figures pressed closer, their forms brushing against the truck as though testing it. The hum became a chorus, dozens of voices overlapping, whispering his name, whispering words he couldn't understand. Then the journal on the passenger seat snapped, shut with a violent clap. Ethan flinched. The cover was wet. Dark stains seeped through the leather, spreading like veins. He reached out, hesitating, then pulled his hand back. The stains smelled of rust, of blood. The CB radio hissed alive again, not static this time, breathing, slow, heavy, like someone sitting right beside him. He grabbed the mic with shaking hands. "I know, you're not real. This road, these trucks, all of it, it's not real." A pause. Then a voice answered, not distant, not ghostly, right in his ear. "Then why are you still here?" Ethan dropped the mic, his chest tightening. He turned the wheel sharply, desperate to find an exit, a turn, anything to break the loop. But the fog thickened, and the truck skidded. Headlights pierced the white. Something stood in the middle of the road, tall, thin, its body stretched like melted wax, its arms dragging across the asphalt. Its head jerked unnaturally, snapping to face him with a crack. Its eyes, two burning coals, locked onto his. Ethan's stomach lurched. He slammed the brakes, tires screaming. The trailer fit. The figure didn't move. It waited. The truck screeched to a stop, mere feet from the thing. And then, slowly, impossibly, it began to smile. The mouth stretched too wide, tearing the fog itself, revealing rows of jagged, uneven teeth. From that mouth came a sound Ethan knew too well, a truck horn, warped and distorted, bellowing so loud the windshield cracked. Ethan clapped his hands over his ears, screaming, but the sound burrowed into his skull, vibrating his bones. The thing stepped closer, its fingers dragging along the hood, leaving trails of frost that burned through the paint. And in that moment, Ethan realized something. This wasn't just a haunting. The road didn't just trap the dead. It fed on the living. The fog wasn't trying to keep him lost. It was trying to keep him. Ethan sat frozen in the cab, his chest heaving, as the creature's smile dissolved back into the fog. One moment it was there, towering and grinning with those jagged teeth, and the next, it was nothing but mist, retreating into the endless white. The silence that followed was unbearable, not peaceful, heavy, waiting. He forced himself to breathe, to think. The journal lay on the seat beside him, its leather cover wet with condensation, its pages whispering against one another as though turned by unseen fingers. He swallowed hard and opened it again. A new line was scrawled across the page, one that hadn't been there before. "Watch the mile markers. Not all of them are dead." Ethan's throat went dry. He grabbed the wheel, started the engine again, and rolled forward slowly, scanning the roadside through the fog. The mile markers had been repeating, mocking him, pulling him in circles. But now, maybe one would be different. He passed one. The same crooked sign, leaning slightly to the left. Another, the same rust, the same tilt. But then, after what felt like hours, he saw it. A marker that wasn't crooked. It stood tall, perfectly straight, the numbers etched sharply into its face. And unlike the others, the ground around it was bare, no snow, no frost, just damp black earth that steamed faintly in the cold. Ethan slowed, headlights bathing it in pale yellow light. The number read 13. The hum started again, low vibrating, as though the earth itself disapproved of his discovery. Ethan's gut twisted, but he pressed on. He pulled the truck closer, until the grill was nearly touching the marker. That's when he noticed something carved into the back of it. He climbed down from the cab, boots crunching against the frozen ground. His breath plumed in the air as he ran his hand over the stone. Words, rough, jagged letters scraped deep into the surface. Only one way out. Keep driving at 13. Ethan stepped back, his pulse racing. Was this a clue? A warning? Or another trick meant to keep him here forever? The fog thickened, pressing close, and the hum grew louder, more insistent. Shadows flickered just beyond his sight, shapes moving, circling, watching. He scrambled back into the cab and slammed the door shut. The truck roared to life, headlights illuminating the mile marker one last time before he pressed the accelerator. The road seemed to change. The trees leaned in closer, their branches clawing at the edges of the asphalt. The mile markers flickered in and out of existence, some leaning, some straight, some missing entirely. Ethan's eyes locked on every 13 he saw, gripping the wheel tighter with each one. Then the CB radio crackled. A voice whispered, strained and broken, "You're close. Don't stop." Ethan froze. Unlike the others, this voice didn't sound like part of the chorus. It sounded human, real, desperate. "Who is this?" Ethan barked. Static. Then the voice again, rasping. "I didn't make it. Don't repeat my mistake. 13 is the only road. Keep your eyes open." The transmission died with a sharp pop. Ethan's skin prickled. Somewhere out there, another trucker had tried this. Maybe more than one, maybe dozens. And if their rigs rusted along the roadside now, it meant they'd failed. But the voice, whoever it was, hadn't lied. He passed another marker, 13. This time it glowed faintly in his headlights, as though lit from within. His chest tightened. It was a sign, a guide. For the first time all night, he felt something new. Asterisk, not safety, not hope, but purpose. The road had rules, and if he could figure them out before the fog swallowed him whole, maybe, just maybe, he could break free. The road stretched endlessly, each mile marker Ethan passed, pulling him deeper into the unknown. The glowing 13s came and went like a breadcrumb trail, a fragile thread of sanity in a place designed to devour it. His hands trembled on the wheel, but he couldn't stop now. Stopping meant giving the fog time to close in, to whisper, to take him. Then he saw it. A truck parked ahead on the shoulder. Its headlights were on, casting long beams through the mist, though the engine was silent. The trailer leaned at an angle, one wheel sunk deep into the mud. Ethan slowed, suspicion gnawing at him. Every abandoned rig he'd passed until now had been lifeless, rotting. This one looked recent. He rolled closer, hearts thudding. The driver's door creaked open slowly, like it had been waiting for him, and then movement. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a stained trucker's jacket. His cap sat low on his head, his beard unkempt, his face pale under the glow of the headlights. For a brief, dizzying moment, Ethan felt relief. Another driver. Someone real. "Hey," Ethan shouted through the window, cutting the engine. "You stranded out here too?" The man raised his head slowly. His eyes caught the headlights, dull, gray, hollow. Ethan's relief curdled. The stranger smiled, not wide like the thing in the fog, but sad. "Broken. You're still alive," the man rasped, his voice carrying over the silent highway. "Lucky you." Ethan pushed the door open, boots crunching on frozen asphalt. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer right away. He just looked past Ethan, into the fog, as if checking for something lurking there. Then he muttered, "Names. Doesn't matter anymore. I've been driving this road for longer than I can remember." Ethan frowned. "You mean, you got stuck too?" The man's laugh was dry, hollow, stuck. "No. This road doesn't let you get stuck. It keeps you moving, until you're part of it." Ethan's stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" The man stepped closer. Too close. His face looked wrong now, skin waxy, veins black under the surface. His breath clouded the air, thick and unnatural, as though smoke leaked from his lungs. "I tried what you're trying," he said. "I followed the markers. I listened to the voices. I thought I could beat the rules." His smile twisted. "But the road doesn't want you to leave. It only wants to keep you." Ethan stumbled back, his boot hitting the truck's tire. His instincts screamed at him to run. The man tilted his head, his neck cracking with the motion. Don't you get it? There is no way out. There's only joining. And with that, his face began to change. His hollow eyes sank deeper, glowing faintly. His mouth stretched wider than it should, not in a grin, but in agony. His skin peeled, revealing frostbitten flesh underneath. Ethan's breath caught as the man staggered forward, reaching out with hands that weren't quite hands anymore. Long, twisted fingers rimed with frost, dripping black water onto the pavement. Ethan bolted. He scrambled back into his cab, slamming the door and fumbling for the ignition. The figure pressed against the glass, his gray face inches from Ethan's, whispering, "You'll never leave." I didn't. None of us do. The windshield cracked under the pressure of his palms. Ethan's truck roared to life, and he slammed the gas pedal. The rig lurched forward, tearing away from the figure dot in the mirror. He saw the man collapse into the fog, his body dissolving into mist, leaving nothing but the echo of his voice. We're all still driving. Forever. Ethan's chest heaved, his knuckles white on the wheel. The journal lay open again, its pages fluttering as if mocking him. One line burned into his mind, scrawled in frantic handwriting across the paper. The dead drive with you. Don't let them in. The endless monotony of fog and mile markers blurred together until Ethan's eyelids felt like sandpaper. He hadn't slept. He hadn't eaten. He was driving on fear alone. And then, impossibly, he saw it. A glow ahead. Not headlights. Not taillights. Softer. Warmer. Neon. Ethan's chest tightened as he pressed the accelerator. Soon, the shape came into focus. A small gas station, half buried in snow. Its flickering sign buzzed faintly. Open 24 hours. His first thought was relief. Civilization. A chance to breathe. A chance to ask someone, anyone, where the hell he was. But as his rig rolled closer, that relief soured. The station looked old, not just weathered ancient. The walls were cracked, the glass fogged over. A single gas pump leaned at an angle, coated in rust. And yet the sign glowed, the lights inside burning yellow against the fog. Ethan pulled into the lot, the tires crunching against gravel. He killed the engine, silence swallowing him instantly. The journal sat on the passenger seat, closed tight now, refusing to open. For once, Ethan was glad. He didn't want to know what it might say about this place. He stepped out into the cold. The neon sign buzzed louder, its letters stuttering as though struggling to stay alive. His boots crunched across the frost as he pushed the glass door open. A bell jingled. Inside, the gas station looked frozen in time. Shelves lined with dusty cans of food, old road maps, faded postcards, a single humming refrigerator filled with bottles of soda, decades out of date, and behind the counter, a man. He wore a clerk's uniform, neat and clean, though his skin was pale and waxy under the harsh fluorescent lights. His eyes followed Ethan slowly, deliberately. "Cold night for a drive," the clerk said, his voice calm. Ethan swallowed. You work here?" The clerk smiled faintly. "Always have. Always will." Something in that answer sent a chill down Ethan's spine. "I need help," Ethan said quickly. "I've been stuck on this highway. I can't find my way out. Do you know where this road leads?" The clerk tilted his head, studying him like a specimen. Then, softly, he said, "Depends where you want it to lead." Ethan frowned. "I just want to get out, off this road." "Back to," the clerk raised a hand, silencing him. His eyes darted to the window, where the fog pressed against the glass like a living thing. "You don't talk too loud out here," he whispered. "It listens." Ethan's heart hammered. "Then you know about it? The fog, the things in it." The clerk's smile deepened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We all know. Every driver who stops here knows." Ethan's mouth went dry. Other drivers, you mean? Before he could finish, the refrigerator door swung open on its own. Bottles rattled, condensation dripping onto the tiles. A cold draft swept through the store, smelling of rust and gasoline. The clerk didn't flinch. He just kept smiling. Ethan took a step back. What is this place? The clerk's voice dropped to a whisper. This is the last stop, before the end. Everyone comes through here. Some never leave. Ethan's stomach twisted. He glanced at the shelves again. The postcards weren't blank. They had messages scribbled on them, written in frantic handwriting. Please, warnings, names he didn't recognize. And some, he did. Truckers he'd heard about over the years. Men who'd vanished without a trace. He stumbled back toward the door, but the clerk's voice cut through the air. You've already chosen, Ethan. You kept driving. You found the mile markers. Now the road has to decide whether it lets you go, or keeps you. The bell above the door jingled again, not because Ethan touched it, because someone or something else had come inside. The fog spilled through the doorway, curling across the floor like a living shadow. The clerk's eyes locked onto Ethan's, his smile never fading. Better hurry, driver. Time's almost up. The fog poured into the gas station like water flooding a sinking ship. Ethan stumbled back, heart hammering, as the cold tendrils coiled around his legs. The clerk didn't move. He simply stood behind the counter, smiling that same hollow smile. I told you, the clerk whispered. This is the last stop. There's no going back. Ethan bolted for the door. He shoved through the fog, clawed his way outside, and scrambled into the cab of his truck. The engine roared to life with a tortured growl, headlights flaring against the suffocating white. He slammed the accelerator. The rig shot forward, gravel spitting beneath the tires. The gas station vanished behind him, swallowed whole by the fog, as though it had never existed. For miles, he drove blind. His knuckles ached, his jaw locked tight, his chest tight with the weight of terror. Then ahead, a light dot, not neon, not headlights, green, an exit sign. Ethan's heart leaped. He pressed harder on the gas. The sign grew clearer through the fog, glowing like salvation. Exit 13. The number chilled him, but he couldn't turn back now. He swerved onto the ramp, tires screaming as he followed the curve downward. The fog thinned, the air clearing. His chest loosened for the first time in hours. He was out. He had to be. The ramp straightened into a two-lane road. Snow no longer fell. Stars shone faintly overhead. He let out a broken laugh, shoulders sagging in exhausted relief. But then he saw it, up ahead. On the shoulder of the road, a truck, rust eating its frame, headlights flickering weakly. He slowed, heart sinking. It was one of the abandoned rigs. No, not one, dozens. They lined the road on both sides, stretching endlessly into the distance. His chest tightened as recognition struck him. He'd passed these before. This wasn't a new road. This wasn't freedom. It was the highway. Again, the CB crackled. Static, then voices. Dozens at once. The same chorus he'd heard before, overlapping, whispering, chanting. There is no exit. There never was. Ethan's throat closed. No. I saw the sign. The journal on the passenger seat snapped open violently. The pages flipped, faster and faster, until they stopped on a single line etched deep into the paper. The road doesn't let you leave. It lets you think you did. The headlights ahead multiplied. Dozens. Then hundreds. Trucks materialized out of the fog, their horns blaring in a horrific symphony. The convoy was back, surrounding him, closing in. Ethan screamed, flooring the accelerator. His rig roared forward, barreling down the endless road. The journal's pages tearing themselves apart in the seat beside him. The CB hissed alive one final time. A single voice. .com. Steady. Familiar. The clerk. Keep driving, Ethan. Forever. The road stretched ahead, infinite. The fog swallowed the stars. The exit sign faded behind him, and Ethan Cole was gone. Just another ghost in the convoy. And that is where Ethan's journey ends. Or maybe, where it still continues. On a road with no beginning, no end, and no escape. This was Story Villa, where we bring you chilling tales that keep you awake long after the screen goes dark. If you felt the fog closing in while listening, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because we have many more roads to travel, and not all of them lead home. Sleep tight if you can.